Join the CinemaSins team in Nashville for Sin Week 2023. Every year, we release extra videos for our Sin Club members and hold live panels with our friends and fans in person. Tickets to Sin Week are available at a discounted rate for the month of December. Space is limited, so head to cinemasins.com/SinWeek to reserve your spot today. A link is in the description.
Welcome to Sin Week! Woo!
Comcast. In case you confused it with your mom's C, which is 80 miles west of you for making this movie. I'd like to take a moment to acknowledge the parent, legal guardian, or Sid from Toy Story who is currently filming this kid's traumatic escape from 3 tiny dinosaurs instead of putting the camera down and helping them.
And with every confrontation, we learn more about this frightening new reality.
To be fair, though, this particular dino is actually just minding his own business and simply crossing the road. If I was a reporter, I'd be going after the car manufacturer that thinks it's okay for their car to wildly oversteer just because you had to perform an emergency stop.
After the devastating eruption of Isla Nublar's long-dormant volcano,
Previously on what we hope would be the biggest disappointment of this new trilogy.
the U.S. Congress awarded sole collection rights to the global giant Biosyn Genetics.
Sure, why not? There's no way giving a monopoly to a single company could possibly lead to anything problematic. For all those Jurassic Park fans that found it unfair we never got a follow-up on how Lewis Dodgson is doing, you're in luck. We've got Dodgson here! Dodgson! No one cares.
Where he hopes to study the dinosaurs' ancient immune systems for unique pharmaceutical properties.
The first 2 movies really did the whole evil military thinks dinosaurs will make great soldiers thing to death, so I'm glad we're moving on. I just wish we were moving on to something more interesting than big pharma, like the stock market or politics, or maybe actually showing the characters fighting dinosaurs in populated cities like the last movie promised. Man, if we could have just watched a movie with these prehistoric birds, cue the winged serpenting this city, it would have been so much better. It's a good thing Claire paid attention to the dodging dinosaurs and steering the dinosaurs to combat the bad guys who were chasing you portions of her driving lessons.
Are you saving these dinosaurs because they need us, or are you saving them to absolve yourself?
Speaking of which, Claire is one of the main reasons dinosaurs are walking freely amongst the Earth's population. Even if they couldn't find a way to put her in jail, wouldn't she at least be on house arrest or something? I've never ranched a dinosaur before, but I'm fairly confident mistakes are being made here. Owen does his hand thing in a Jurassic World movie cliche.
We're gonna get you someplace safe.
Lucky for Owen, this dinosaur understands English. Also, picturing Chris Pratt petting what is probably an adult wearing a green suit and maybe some tennis balls almost makes this movie worth watching. I said almost. Wait. After all that hoopla, they only caught 1 dinosaur? The other guys with Owen are less like city slickers and more like city slackers, am I right? Oh, goody. We've got another group of people that want the dinosaurs for nefarious purposes. Remember when the main villains in the original Jurassic Park were some of the dinosaurs? We actually enjoyed that movie. Letting a child be in charge of any activity that requires the use of an axe. We're going to find out shortly that Maisie is not supposed to cross the bridge because there's a danger of her being discovered and captured, which is totally fair. But since she's been defying the rule off and on for the last 4 years, how has she not been caught yet? Not to mention Owen and Claire are out there doing all their usual bullshit and bringing attention to themselves. The idea that they kept Maisie safe for a few weeks is ridiculous enough, so 4 years feels like all the bullshit. No, the dinosaur did not just say thank you to the random little girl that came up with the idea to herd them to safety because it just didn't, okay?
What are you burning?
Oh, nothing, just some old blankets.
Oh, wait, what?
Sorry, I'm late.
God forbid a character ever arrives exactly when they intended, or, just says hi or something.
But listen, there's something else. I found that girl you've been after.
Once again, I have to ask, how are they just now finding Maisie? Mind you, B.D. Wong wants her for research purposes, and maybe that didn't occur to him until recently, but her not being discovered by someone makes no sense. You're telling me it was easier to track down a specific velociraptor over a human girl whose picture has been posted all over the news for the past 4 years? This movie could have easily dropped the Jurassic World titling and just been called The Locust, and other than a few character names, nothing would have to have been changed. I feel like Jeff Goldblum while I'm watching this, wondering aloud whether or not there will be dinosaurs in this dinosaur movie.
Thanks for coming. Wasn't sure who to call.
The actual greeting Laura Dern received from the casting director somehow makes it into the script.
We've been looking into the impact of industrial farming on the environment.
Of course you have. It's as if Biosyn created this specific situation because they really wanted Ellie Sattler to be in this movie.
Grant! You're gonna want to see this.
This ends up being about Ellie paying Alan a visit. Why wouldn't you just say, Grant, someone is here to see you? Who says you're gonna want to see this regarding a visitor showing up? This student must be a huge fan of legacy sequels. Has Alan Grant ever poured a jug of tea before? Because there's almost as much tea coming out on the side of the glass as there is going into the glass.
And Mark?
It's over.
Of course it is. Look, those paint-by-number coloring books can be fun for even adults, but not when all the numbers are already painted for you.
Oh, it's a locust.
Calling me an optimist, but I thought it would take more than 6 movies to exhaust the well of over 700 discovered species of dinosaurs before we resorted to making a Jurassic movie about larger-than-average locusts.
None of the crops they're eating are Biosyn seed.
I mean, it would not shock me that they want to control the world's food supply.
So the crux of this movie is that Biosyn used dinosaur genes to engineer big locusts that wipe out all the grain that isn't specifically made by Biosyn. But isn't that gonna look mighty f***ing suspicious? How sketchy does it look that the only company with exclusive rights to catch dinosaurs also seems to be the only company whose seeds aren't affected by the locust with dinosaur DNA?
I need to go to their sanctuary and get DNA from another locust there.
Why? What's wrong with this locust? Surely this will have all kinds of funky dino DNA in it, and combining that with the fact that it's only leaving Biosyn seeds alone would be at least enough for a search warrant, right?
But I need a witness.
No, you don't. This movie seems to think it needs the old gang back together, and maybe it does. But you, Dr. Sattler, don't need shit from Alan. We're about to find out that Ian Malcolm plus at least one other spy is already trying to expose Biosyn. So there's your witness.
I got an invite from their in-house philosopher.
Putting aside the fact that I haven't got a clue what an in-house philosopher is supposed to be, can't believe that Ian Malcolm would be naive enough to believe that a pharmaceutical company experimenting with dinosaurs would be hiring him as anything other than a token gesture to say, hey, look at us, we aren't doing anything shady. Take the word of the guy who hated the first Jurassic Park.
Back up.
Even after 3 of these movies with anyone pulling this kind of bullshit, I still find the fact that these tactics always work some of the nonsensiest nonsense to ever nonsense.
Where are you going? You can't keep me here, you're not my mother.
Kids. Luckily for the Biosyn lackeys, Maisie decided to go on an angry bike ride today. What was their plan if she didn't show up here? So after Maisie stormed off, Claire decided to head inside and shuck some corn? What the actual f***? We've had to sit through many, many minutes of pain. We must protect her and make sure she isn't exposed to the outside world fireside bull. Also that Claire can f*** off and make dinner instead of preventing Maisie from doing something dumb. Does anyone remember when Claire used to run an entire business?
I am gonna get her back. I promise you that.
Luckily for Owen, this dinosaur understands English.
Franklin, it's me. You at work?
Okay, you're kind of a subject of interest around here, so I can't really be talking to you.
And yet, as one of her known associates, your ass still managed to get a job with the f***ing CIA.
We're outside.
I've never understood this. We're outside your window, and this will compel you to talk to me cliche. How do they even know that he's going to look out the correct side of the building? Or that he's even near a f***ing window? And your proximity to him wasn't the issue here. It's the fact that talking to you will cause him to lose his job. Something even more likely if you're spotted within walking distance of the damn building he works in.
We have people on the ground already. One of them, you know, Barry's French intelligence now.
You remember Barry, right? He was the guy from one of the other movies who was in the place and did the thing that I totally remember. No, I know who he is. I was just making sure you know who he is because he's super important.
Look, once we make the bus to Malta, our guys will see if Delacour knows where she is.
Sometimes movies are forced to recast a character with a different actor, but it's not often you see the same actor play the same character, but with an entirely different personality. I know we're about 3 years or whatever removed from Fallen Kingdom, but I have no idea how we got to Franklin, the cool CIA agent, from this. I get the temptation to do callbacks, but did this moment from Fallen Kingdom really warrant a reenactment here between these two? Listen, if you keep tugging the audience this much, they will eventually fall off altogether.
Biosyn bought this land for the amber deposits back in the 90s, but we've managed to turn it into a safe haven for about 20 displaced species.
This franchise has dinosaurs all over the world now, and we're still going to end up on a remote location for the majority of the dinosaur action? Are you kidding me with this shit? Campbell Scott came on set and said, you think Matthew Modine's older, psychotic look on Stranger Things was something? Hold my beer.
We've already identified dozens of applications for paleo DNA. We're talking about cancer, Alzheimer's, autoimmune. We will be saving lives.
I know it's popular to paint Big Pharma as more evil than the devil, but in this case, it's pretty unbelievable. Apparently, the dinosaurs hold the key to life itself, and Biosyn is the only company with access to them. They would make all the money by simply producing the cures for diseases like cancer and Alzheimer's, with the added upside of not being exposed for destroying 75% of the world's food supply, something I think will be frowned upon.
What part of this don't you understand?
Well, I do understand.
This is gonna be a global famine.
How many dudes does Henry Wu have to work with before he gets the hint that these type of people don't give a shit about his point of view or what's morally right? There are way too many characters in this movie to keep track of.
What's with the girl?
I hope you're taking in this loaded stare, everyone, because it's all of the motivation this movie will choose to share for why she suddenly devotes her life to rescuing Maisie.
You can listen in, but promise me you will not make contact.
Now, both Franklin and Barry have made it very clear that they're willing to help, but don't want Claire and Owen to interfere. So why did they fly them to Malta? Can't they listen in just as easily from back home, out of the way of temptation and the plot?
Don't look at anyone, don't talk to anyone. Just try to blend in.
Oh wait, that was Barry being serious? This place feels like it belongs more in an abandoned Star Wars movie.
Still flying for Santos, huh?
We will now watch Watts accept a job, which is riveting and all, but what is this scene telling us that we don't already know? Why not have Claire in the background of this scene to overhear that Watts works for Santos instead of relying on a chance encounter in the bathroom?
Wait. What is this?
I need your help.
I don't know you.
True, and yet Claire will latch on to the stranger she just met in the bathroom because she has a familiar accent. It is blind luck that Watts not only flies for Santos, but saw Maisie being loaded into a sketchy car. This movie, people. Let's go back to this. You're only supposed to listen in bullshit. Barry and Owen have now left Claire inside to ask questions about Maisie, and Owen is right beside Barry, scoping out the situation. Why is Barry getting them involved like this if they were just supposed to listen?
What's the cargo?
She is a dinosaur smuggler. Why was a cargo of dinosaurs surprising to you?
Laser marks the target they attach to the scent. Don't stop till it's dead. Inescapable.
Except so many people are about to escape them. Santos is a liar. Also, what the do they care what these dinosaurs can do? I'm struggling to work out why I even care, and I'm the one all this exposition is meant to be benefiting. Santos walks calmly through a pathway of guns firing and is not hit once.
Land her off to Santos.
This guy is answering Owen's questions while having his hand eaten off his body by a dinosaur. I mean, what the is going on? The Atrociraptors are let out of their cages and surround a group of agents carrying guns that are all already locked and loaded, but not one of them fires a single shot. You all deserve to be eaten alive. Listen, I don't want to watch people getting stabbed, but it always confuses me when the villain haphazardly swipes at their opponent with a knife instead of, well, stabbing them with it. Claire is currently outrunning a predator that has an estimated top speed of 40 miles per hour, and that is some bullshit even if she's not wearing heels this time. Oh, you plus infinity movie. There's no way you're telling me Kayla is walking down this very street where Claire has landed. And yet that's exactly what you're telling me, and it's infuriating. There's a crazy chase scene in The Hidden where Chris Mulkey is possessed by an alien with a penchant for fast cars and goes on a rampage through downtown LA with a huge smile on his face until the police stop him and the car just spontaneously bursts into flames. It's utterly ridiculous. But the fact that I'm focusing on that obscure movie from 1987 tells you all you need to know about how much this chase scene is keeping my attention. This guy that's riding his scooter in between two dinosaurs as if they weren't two stories tall and full of angry teeth.
Still got it.
You didn't do anything.
Would you guys like to tour the facilities yourselves?
We will eventually find out Archive 81 is in on this, but he's relying a lot on giving random clues to lead them on the correct path to get the info Ellie needs. Ramsey doesn't even know if they have Ian's security key. I know there's cameras everywhere, but he also knows this facility. I find it hard to believe there wasn't a place he could pull them aside and give them the lowdown. Henry's Mr. Rogers sweater bugs the out of me, and I don't have a good reason why. But, you know, for a movie this idiotic, I'm not sure I need one.
You're way too important, Maisie.
Well, at least Isabella's sermon is fun to watch, but I refuse to remove a sin for this movie, so I'll add one for not giving her more to do.
Just like Blue, Charlotte was able to have a child all by herself.
Wait, let me get this straight. One of the big reveals from Fallen Kingdom was that Maisie's mother wasn't her mother because Maisie was a clone, but the reveal of this movie is that Maisie isn't in fact a clone, but the biological, if fatherless, daughter of Charlotte, undoing the twist from the last movie. I'm assuming these movies had multiple writers, but now I'm also assuming they never actually met each other.
Get in, get the sample, and get out. And move slow. They can swarm at the slightest disturbance.
Then do you both really need to be in there? Hasn't he witnessed enough or whatever reason you had for bringing him along? Exposure to unknown nasties aside, I'm guessing the masks were also there to cover their very recognizable faces, so why are we taking them off? As off-site and hard as it is to get to the Biosyn lab, they sure made it way too easy to escape from.
Why is it blinking?
Because dead-ass Denise in the tower just turned it off.
Well, at least DeWanda Wise is fun to watch, but I still refuse to remove a sin for this movie, so I'll add one for not giving her more to do, too.
That's another plane, right?
A, how the did that sound anything like a plane? And B, if it were a plane, why would that be any more reassuring? It still sounds like they're going to shoot you down. Also, if the dinosaurs go after aircraft unless the ADS is turned on, then how are planes able to fly in the cities where we saw pterodactyls resting atop skyscrapers? Owen, Layla, and somehow my patience survived this. This shot is really fucking cool and definitely worthy of a sin removal, but I'm still not going to give this movie a sin off, so I shall instead sin this moment, because even if this dinosaur is a herbivore that can't see well, it can definitely smell, and Claire should be pretty smelly at this point. That dinosaur knows where Claire is, they're just being a dick. And you know how we feel about dickish dinosaurs around here.
Is that why you're helping us?
Is now really the time for the heart-to-heart, or is he just trying to break the ice? Owen isn't shivering or wet enough to have just fallen into icy water, and he f***ing should be. I'm surprised he isn't dead from hypothermia and being cloned already.
I used an access key. Yankee white clearance. One of our cameras saw Ian Malcolm put something in Sattler's pocket.
Bullshit. I didn't see a goddamn thing because the movie was very clear that Ian knew exactly where the cameras were and wasn't going to expose himself until he was certain the goddamn coffee was brewing and he was turned away from the camera. Why waste all our time making Ian look super vigilant to only undermine it with a f***ing, oh, the camera spotted him anyway? Also, this statement the security guy makes doesn't check out regardless. Ian handed Ellie the security key. He didn't put it in her pocket. Also, if you can program these bracelets with different levels of clearance, why not f***ing personalize them so you know exactly who has been accessing which part of your super shady evil lair? Also, if Ian Malcolm is your token gesture to show you give a shit about responsible genetics, why does his bracelet give him access to the lab that holds your most irresponsible examples of genetics? He should barely have access to the f***ing cafeteria.
There are dinosaurs everywhere. I mean, you know, technically birds are dinosaurs.
You envision what? An evil, unbound Prometheus, so that's what I am to you?
Prometheus got gored.
Prometheus shadowing, which to be fair is my 9th favorite kind of foreshadowing, but even that can't save this movie.
So will you rapacious rat bastard.
Jeff Goldblum and Campbell Scott may be the only two people in this film who truly understood the assignment. I almost feel bad for all the sin removals this movie is missing out on for being so diabolically unlikable.
Allosaurus?
Giganotosaurus.
This movie in particular has a lot of random dinosaur encounters that essentially have nothing to do with the story. Sure, they look cool, but they're so inconsequential, I feel like they're just trying to stop me complaining about the movie not having enough dinosaurs. Don't you pander to me, movie. I'm fully aware that I'm the asshole here. Okay, which one of you nerds genetically engineered this dinosaur to wait in the dark and jump scare its prey to death? Was it you, Gary? Gary.
Forget that!
So we're taking cheap shots at Indiana Jones now? I'm sure there's a joke here about throwing crystal skulls in glass houses, but if the movie isn't going to work to be funny, I don't know why I should bother.
There's 10,000 possibilities.
That's assuming that the code is only 4 digits, which Ian couldn't know. There could be hundreds of millions of different possibilities if it's much more than that. What kind of maniac organizes their desktop like this? And if these are sensitive documents, why are they so easily accessible from the desktop in the first place? Also, this monitor is in a terrible position unless chronic neck pain is something you enjoy complaining about.
Should we all lean to the left or something?
That's very constructive. Thank you, Maisie.
Just want to point out what are supposed to be 3 of the most brilliant minds are residing in this vehicle currently. And all they can come up with is let's lean left.
No, we're teetering.
My least favorite type of tension is when you're waiting for the terrible thing to happen, and then suddenly the terrible thing happens, but nothing terrible actually happens. And I feel terrible for wanting something terrible to happen so that I don't feel like my time was wasted wondering how terrible the terrible thing was going to be. In other unrelated news, I wonder if they could use some of that amber to genetically engineer me at the source.
It's my parents!
Of course it is. Out of all the places the Jeep could have rolled to a stop at, it's the exact place Owen and Claire are because this movie is dumb. It only took 1 hour and 46 minutes along with some of the poorest plotting imaginable to get all these characters together in the film. Totally worth it.
What is that?
Giganotosaurus. Biggest carnivore the world has ever seen.
Why did this need to be said twice in this movie? Cool! Ian Malcolm fires a flaming spear into the giant don't f with me asaur, and that's great for the trailer, but we literally just saw it eat one of these fiery locusts and immediately extinguish the flame. Why did this set it back so much?
You were at Jurassic World.
Jurassic World? Not a fan.
I hear you, Malcolm. I really, really do.
What's an ADS? Aerial Deterrent System.
Which Ellie should know because she was already told about it on the plane ride to Biosyn. I don't care that a f***ing Jurassic Park cartoon explained how Dodgson came back into possession of this f***ing Barbasol can. It's still some of the bullshitest bullshit ever shit.
Give me 8 minutes, I could find her.
What are you basing that on? Why 8 minutes instead of 9 or 7? Or f*** it, just say that the baby raptor is already on its way back to Alaska or wherever the shit, if you're gonna be that arbitrary.
I made a promise we would bring her home. You made a promise to a dinosaur.
Actually, Owen never told Ian he made the promise to a dinosaur, just simply said he made a promise. Just because Ian's right doesn't make the comment he makes any less idiotic. Claire and Ellie are surprised when the obvious stench of burning locusts they would have obviously smelled on the way here actually turn out to be burning locusts.
Nobody said there'd be bugs.
Indeed, yet we've ended up with an entire movie based on them, attempting to use the Force in the wrong legacy sequel. Not sure why the Locusts, who are clearly dead, or at least weren't motivated to move when Ellie and Claire were walking on them, are all of a sudden alive, but here we are. Also, this is the second scene where I'm supposed to care that two of our characters are trapped in a room with these locusts without knowing what danger they actually pose. Sure, they're icky and bigger than normal, but they've been engineered to eat crops, not murder people. As a clumsy reminder of where all this began is thrust upon me, I'm left maddened at how much this movie could have been a f***ing home run for the franchise. How do you make a movie with Chris Pratt, Bryce Dallas Howard, Sam Neill, Laura Dern, Jeff Goldblum, and dinosaurs and make it so criminally boring? The answer is that you ignore all those things and anything of the wonder from the first Jurassic Park and indulge in some globe-trotting conspiracy story with wafer-thin, generic as rejected James Bond villains instead. Oh, and locusts. It shouldn't be this hard to make a fun dinosaur movie. It just shouldn't.
This isn't about us,
said the disappointed dinosaur to the self-satisfied screenwriter. All of the dinosaurs have been electronically herded here as part of the evacuation, so shouldn't there be a system in place to make sure that the two biggest bastards don't kill each other and possibly every other dinosaur present? Fuck you! It was kind of fun in the first Jurassic World when Claire got the T-Rex to fight off the other dinosaur. I said kind of. But anyways, it's no longer fun. You don't have to take the strongest villain in a franchise and turn them into some sort of anti-hero. Jurassic World Dominion is the f***ing Iborg of the Jurassic Park franchise. And we already have one Iborg. We don't need another. Where the f*** is Owen's blanket, huh? I mean, nothing against Claire, but I'm not sure why Locust attack ranks higher than hypothermia on the blanket distribution chart. This seems like a touching moment, but shortly after this, Owen and Claire were arrested for kidnapping a minor, and Maisie was sent to an orphanage where she was adopted and raised by Batman. Oh wait, this is Universal. So she was adopted and raised by, I don't know, Dom Toretto? Get better IP, Universal.
Dr. Henry Wu has found an emergency solution to the ecological crisis.
This sin goes out to all the geneticists out there who had no idea that emergency solutions were an option to revolutionize genetics, instead of the years of research, trials, and testing that you usually have to go through only to discover that your new species of fungus was already discovered by some asshole in the 1800s. This whole area was covered with snow when the three of them left their cabin just a couple days ago. Even if the snow had melted, there's no chance there would be this much visible greenery. I hate to spoil this very sweet family reunion with logic, but I swear to Darwin I will add 100 sins if either of these motherfuckers looks back for one last God damn it! Okay, at least it was only the baby raptor and not Blue as well. Maybe you can put that down to God damn it, Blue!
If we're going to survive, we'll have to trust each other, depend on each other, coexist.
Yeah, but how did you manage to communicate that to the fucking dinosaurs? This is exactly the same montage we saw at the beginning of the movie, only this time the dinosaurs are miraculously living in harmony with the local wildlife as if they learned some valuable lesson and signed a fucking treaty with the UN as well.
Join them in extinction!
Sometimes animals that went extinct millions of years ago, like dinosaurs, left their blueprints behind for us to find.
Thanks for coming.
Let me tell you something. You want to send a message? I ain't no f***ing telegram, bitch!
These aren't the droids you're looking for.
I was not raising my voice.
I'm shouting! I'm shouting!
What's with the girl?
You didn't see anything.
We were so confused, right? I thought we were straight up lost, and you said Station 3, and I was like, here we.
I'm the spy.
Surprise, motherfucker!